Welcome to episode 9 of the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. Before we meet everybody that makes up the herd for this episode, let me just remind people that may be listening on one of the various podcast platforms that if you want to come and join us for the live show, the link will be in the description of the podcast somewhere. I have to remember to do that every week now. Let's meet the co-hosts. We've got up here next to me, we've got Phil from the YouTube channel Comics Gaming Figures.
Ho, ho, ho.
For those on the podcast, he is wearing a Father Christmas hat, like for effect. Down below, underneath Phil there, we've got Shane from the YouTube channel Dawn of Comics.
Bah humbug.
And just down here, we've got Scott from the YouTube channel Scott Shelf.
All right.
No Shemai this week, mate.
Shemai! Nadole Clowen!
I look forward to the Shemai every week.
Sorry, mate.
Let's have a quick look then before we get into what we're reading. Let's just meet the herd. We've got this month in movies, which I believe that's Tom. Evening, lads, he's saying. We've got our friend Comic Deals, James. Howdy doody. We've got Perpetual Comics. We've got Andy here. Hey, everyone. And it's not Scott's shelf, no, it's Scott's window, according to Comic Deals.
I've got to break.
So there you go. That's the herd, and this week we are kicking off our festive reading. Each week this month, this was your idea, Shane. I'm going to throw you under the bus there and tell everyone. Shane had the idea of us reading a festive book, Christmas related, every week. So we're going to be doing this on the run up to Christmas. And then at the end of the month, we do have a special surprise for you all. So I want you to all get thinking about which story arcs you would maybe like to see us read. Secret Wars too. Phil, don't encourage them. But this week, folks, we are reading Zombies: A Christmas Carol. This was by Marvel in 2011. And I do believe the writer was Jim McCann, and the art was done by how do you pronounce this? David Baldion and Jeremy Treese. How did I do, guys?
Sounds right. I'll allow it.
Okay. Phew, thank God for that. Right then, let's kick it off. Then let's get straight into it. Let's go with whose turn is it? Shane, your turn for the synopsis this week, mate.
The synopsis for Zombie Christmas Carol is A Christmas Carol with Zombies. How'd I do? It's Ebenezer Scrooge. It's a Christmas Carol told slightly different because in this world there are zombies. And it's about how to stop the zombies. And there's not much. It's really weird. Like, this should have been really, really jam-packed, but it was literally beat for beat a Christmas Carol, and then and a zombie, and then a Christmas Carol. Oh, by the way, there's still zombies. So it is just a Christmas Carol with zombies. Yeah,
it's pretty much a kind of illustrated adaptation, just with zombies instead of meanness.
You can take them out, and the story is just a Christmas Carol 100%. Doesn't need them at all, but what are you going to do?
Scrooge, isn't he like patient zero?
Because he got bit by a horse.
He got bit by a horse and then spread this infection around him. He was patient zero, right? They don't say it.
We'll get to that, mate. We've got your brother in here, Shane. Yeah. The lack of shelves bother me, Scott. We got the Grey Man in here as well. Howdy, chaps. Howdy to you, Grey Man. We have Liam Cartwright. Good evening, everyone. If I've missed anybody, I have missed somebody. MJ Comics, what's up, fellas? Howdy to you, James and Mikey. Hope you're well. Right, let's go then. Sorry, Shane. Go on.
Sorry, Comics Deal has just made a point about Christmas Carol with Muppets. I think he's got it slightly confused. These are not zombies playing the parts. This is just zombies in the background.
Okay, let me read that for anyone listening on the podcast. He says, well, Muppets Christmas Carol is just a Christmas Carol, but with Muppets, and it's a classic.
Yeah. This would be better if it was zombies playing the parts of the ghosts and of Ebenezer, but it was just the regular characters, the ghosts, Ebenezer, and then some zombies in the background.
We've got Bethany Cartwright here as well saying, I actually read this one and Lee didn't. I was like, let me save you the effort. Christmas Carol with zombies. Crying face. All right, let's get into this then. Scott, I do believe it's your turn to kick us off this week. So where do you want to start, mate?
I think we should start where we always start. And that's with the art. It was all right. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, it was literally...
It's just going to be a short show.
It was literally a Christmas Carol, apart from the mega twist of Scrooge being patient zero and spreading around this zombie disease, which didn't turn him into a zombie. And that was it. And it just... But then, at the end of the story, I don't know if I'm jumping too fast, but it's just like, all he did was spoke to some zombies, and they stopped being zombies. He was just like, I'm a good guy now, we're going to have a good Christmas and whatever, and then they're like, oh, okay, we're fine now. Yeah. Merry Christmas. And that's
the show over, folks. See you later.
I think that was meant to be, if you notice, at the beginning when he first created a zombie, they were very mild and passive because Ebenezer was still happy and good. And the more twisted he became, the more vicious and hungry the zombies became. So at the end, when his heart grew like the Grinch, so the zombies' hunger left. So they were hungering. They weren't just, it wasn't a hunger for food. It was a hunger for the spirit of Christmas, the love, the joy, the happiness that Ebenezer was craving his whole life. So I might be looking too deep into it, but that's
I don't think you are. And I came to a different kind of conclusion, and that was kind of one of the issues I had with the book. But staying on the art, I thought the art was beautiful on this. I gotta be honest. It was like a Disney cartoon, wasn't it? The way it was drawn. I mean, very cartoony, and I wouldn't be misled by that because I don't think this is for kids, if I'm honest with you. Some of the depictions were quite gruesome of the zombies.
The
ghosts.
The smoke and the fog that was swirling around reminded me of like Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
That kind of thing. Like
like
the Disney. Say it again.
So it's almost like cinematic in a book. It built the atmosphere, if you know what I mean, for the whole story.
I kind of felt that it was literally just kind of like reading a Disney film. Like, it just looked like that. And I think I did. Sorry, Scott, I know you're going to say something there. I'll just show people quickly like an example of the art. I took like my favorite splash page. There you go. There's a picture of Ebenezer. I think that's just as the point where he kind of pulls the mask off, the ghost of future Christmas.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, it looked visually, I thought it looked brilliant.
Yeah, he looks totally different than he does on the cover. The cover art, completely different. Lovely as well. I was expecting him to look more photorealistic, judging by the covers. But inside, very cartoony, but lovely.
My favourite panel or page was whenever the Ghost of Christmas Present introduced Want and Ignorance, wasn't it? The twins, the babies, but they were gross looking. They were really hideous.
I am glad they weren't suckling at him and they were just sort of hanging off his stomach. I'm glad they weren't. I was afraid they were going to be suckling, and I was like, I don't need to see that.
It's not my kind of comic.
Wow. Before we get any further, let's just address the chat here as well. Shane, your brother is saying, is it better than Secret Wars? That's the question. Everyone will find out at the end. Bethany's got a serious question here. She's saying, who was your favorite ghost? I love the tubby one. That's the Ghost of Christmas Present.
Yeah, I really like the Ghost of Christmas Past. I thought that was great, the way it aged instantly in front of him and then came back and then had the veil, and then I thought that was beautifully done.
I liked both of them. I did like the kind of gruesomeness of the Ghost of Christmas Past. Didn't she have like one eye missing or something?
Yeah, like half her faces was sort of a skull. It was
she was like really ghoulish. But I did enjoy I like that they didn't change too much about the Ghost of Christmas Present. He's very much like I imagined him when I read, the book itself. And I like that they kept his catchphrase as well, where he's like, come in and know me better, man. Like, I love that they kept that in there as well.
It was good. I think my favorite was Present, and just for his energy at the start. I think it was really nice, and I was really impressed with the way that he kind of like decayed through that issue, and but it was so seamless, and I didn't notice until like pretty much the end where he was like, you know, pretty much like greeny gray, you know, with a kind of veiny kind of look going about him. And I thought, and then I looked back, and you could see all the gradual changes.
It was almost like he was like rotting as it was going on. Because he said as well, he mentions as well, doesn't he, that he only lives a day, and then his brother takes over, doesn't he? You know,
I think the Ghost of Christmas Future had a very black suit symbiote look about it. The way it was flowing, it just it reminded me of Venom for some reason. Obviously, it's Marvel, so my brain was going Marvel, Black Goo, Spider-Man, Venom. But yeah, the way it was drawn as well, his cloak sort of felt alive.
Yeah, the only regret I had about that is, and again, that this is going back to that panel that we just showed there. When he pulls off the kind of mask of we never got to see what it looked like, did we?
I like that. I thought that left it up to your imagination how bad it could be.
It was him.
Was it Scrooge?
Yeah, that's what I took from it. He was the Ghost of Future.
Because if you look at the end of issue 4, like when he, after, you know, Ghost of Future is gone, he puts the bed cover over himself, and all you can see is his jaw, Scrooge's jaw. And then when you read like the back matter pages of like the creation of like that ghost, it just kept writing in the word wink wink, you know, nudge nudge, no spoilers kind of thing, and it was just like it's like this pretty much
that does make sense now you kind of spell that out. We visually didn't see, but I think you are right, the hints were probably there, weren't they, that
all you had was that hint at the very end of him with the duvet and cover over his head.
Grey Man is asking here, are there no workhouses? There were, and that's I think where a lot of the zombies come from, I think. And that kind of brings me to well, before that, I will say, like, I enjoyed Scrooge as well. I thought he was drawn very well, both past and, because the two different artists split it, didn't they? One of them drew past and one of them drew the present stuff. That's what I read in the blurb in the book there.
Sorry, what was that?
In the blurb. And I thought they both did really well. I kind of liked that as well, that they kind of split it out and shared it like that. But I did find that kind of some of the zombies and like the supporting characters were a bit bland. Anybody else find that?
Yeah, I can't remember their names, but the two fellas at the start who were chaining up the gates, I can't remember what their characters are now. But they were quite bland. Even the way they were drawn, it's just like, I just found them boring, to be honest.
Generic.
Generic, that's it. And but you said about the zombies being bland. There was a scene, and I can't remember who the zombies were biting at the time, but they're like biting the person's face. It wasn't like they're just biting the arm or the leg. They were like biting their whole nose and mouth off. It looked really gross.
I do remember that. I think, was that in issue 2 or 3 or something? Well,
it might have been whenever the zombies were attacking. Remember, his old boss were having the party of his wife and stuff, and all the zombies attacked them. It might have been that scene. I can't remember for definite, but I just thought that looked pretty gross.
Yeah, that's what. Again, it's worth mentioning. I don't think this is for children. You know, I know that it's considered a bit of a classic story, you know, Charles Dickens, but I wouldn't give this comic book to your kids. Not extremely young ones, anyway. I think it would terrify them.
What I did like about the book is, like, full disclosure, I've never actually read A Christmas Carol. I've seen the Muppet movie. I've seen the Bill Murray Scrooge.
You take that hat off now. You have not earned the privilege.
But, however, after reading this book, I kind of just went into like Wikipedia, you know, the knowledge tree, and found out that whenever they were doing the issues, and they had like I don't know what it's called, like the kind of decoration around the corners of the page, like the title page.
That was great.
It matches that of the original print from like 1843 or something. So they've obviously spent time kind of researching that and putting that into this book. Like the same kind of
really?
Same kind of font, same kind of design of the title page and so on, yeah.
Well, I think a lot a lot of the wording was taken straight from the Charles Dickens original as well. It was just straight off that page and straight in there.
See, I did have a problem with that. With old English, I struggle with sometimes. I have like reread it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
Phil, I struggle with modern English, mate.
It's one of those things. It annoyed me, but I appreciated it at the same time. It was annoying because I had to read it, but I really appreciated the work that they went into putting it in the book.
For me, that's one of the issues I have written down here. I don't think they handled the kind of syntax of that Dickensian language very well. For me, I think in parts it worked and it flowed, but then there were some real obstacles in that at points. And I kind of got a little bit, sorry about that. I kind of got a little bit stressed reading it. I was kind of like, come on, I know you're trying to keep that format of ye olde Dickensian Victorian London language, but I felt that they dropped the ball a lot.
Yeah, some of it felt like double speak, like it felt too many words for what they were trying to say, and some of it felt like it was really contradictory in the same sentence. They felt like they started out saying one thing, but then in that same speech bubble, they had contradicted themselves because they were trying to sound Victorian.
Yeah.
To be fair, I just couldn't get on with the writing. It was literally like, and I know I'm reading it, but it was in one year out the other kind of thing. It was just like I couldn't tell you a single line from that book.
I do. Come in and know me better, man. That's the only line I think. I just read it, looked at the panels, and just moved on, kind of thing. That's how it was for me. I was exactly the same, Scott. I think a lot of the dialogue not too bad. So when like Scrooge and Bob and all that were talking, that wasn't so bad. It was those the narration text.
Yeah.
That's the bit that irked me, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, because it just seemed a lot of waffle, didn't it? Like they're just waffling on.
Yeah.
And I don't think it added anything to it at all. I would have preferred more dialogue throughout rather than skip all that narration stuff, to be honest. Because it didn't.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. I think you saying that there, I think probably that would be a better way for me to phrase it. I think it was too much narration. I think you are spot on there, Phil. A lot of that I think would have been better delivered in dialogue. Yeah. Keep the flow of the story rather than it just seemed like every kind of couple of panels you were interrupted by more narration.
It was a bit disjointed.
Yeah, you can tell the parts that came from A Christmas Carol and the parts that they were adding for the zombie storyline, because even though it was written in the same kind of style, it didn't have the same feel as the classic Christmas Carol lines that and
it's essentially just for kind of people who may not have read along this week, it is essentially the same kind of overarching moral there, where it's kind of self-awareness and improvement through fear, because originally this was a horror story, it was a Christmas horror story. That's what it was written as, but the way that this differs for people who haven't read it is that the zombies, as people have pointed out here, Scrooge was bitten by a horse. And then this is where it doesn't fit quite well to me, because I think those zombies, and this is what I was going to get at when you said earlier, Shane, about them becoming more hungry as he becomes more bitter and stuff. Now, I think it went off the tracks a little bit, especially towards the end, where it started to seem to me like they were calling the zombies like the surplus population. I hate doing that. Why did I do that? And it started then to feel like that those were the poor, and then the message was of like it was down to the rich to kind of through generosity and all of that, and that kind of felt a little bit patronizing, really.
That's I was confused with the moral of the story. So the moral is don't help yourself, just wait for some rich person to give you a handout.
Yeah, it did. I'm glad I'm not the only one that started to maybe feel it went down that road a little bit.
Wasn't he the reason they were all poor?
No, he was just that's the other thing with Scrooge. It's like, is the moral of the story, work hard for your money and then give it away because you shouldn't have it all, even though you've worked hard for it? It's like, why is he a Scrooge? Just because he works hard for his money and he lives his life the way he wants to live his life?
That's like Bob Cratchit was very, very underpaid and very, very overworked.
Didn't have to work there. He could have left.
I think to kind of tidy up what we're saying there, I think the moral of the Dickens story, the Christmas Carol part of this story, that was there. But the zombie part in this, it kind of went a little bit astray, didn't it, with what it was trying to say.
My major problem with the zombies were, and this might sound stupid, there were zombies, but they weren't really a threat, because they were a threat in the visions or in the dreams with the ghosts and so on, but nothing actually, the zombies didn't do anything. They just walked a few hundred meters and then all of a sudden changed back to humans again whenever Scrooge felt nice about things.
I was hoping this was going to be Scrooge versus zombies.
Yeah, I was hoping there'd be something similar. Like zombies, you know, the stakes are high and Scrooge has to like become a good guy to defeat the zombies or something, but essentially he did.
And he was going to like face zombies from his past, zombies from his present, and then, you know, like I thought they were going to go a completely different route. No ghosts, no hauntings, just the zombies were going to be the past, the present, and the future, and he had to sort it out.
Yeah.
But
let's just take a look at some comments before we go any further. Bethany saying, I did like how they started with Scrooge. He started quite comical and they lost it halfway through. I thought they were going to do a nice twist on him and then they gave up on him. Yeah, I kind of feel that was kind of right, really. Like, particularly that zombie element of things. I feel that they kind of were trying to say something and then they kind of went, nah, let's not do that, you know.
And they were just taken care of so quickly. Like, he just walks them to the graveyard and goes, it's all right, I'm all right now, so you can just be you again. And they're like, cheers, bruv.
It was so anticlimactic. I mean, I'm not sure how climatic that story could be anyway, but it was so deflating. Just for him to go, everyone follow me, including the zombies. I'm nice now.
Yeah,
you can go back to doing what you want.
I'm terrified into being nice. I'm not nice because I'm choosing to be nice. I'm nice because I've seen my future and I don't want that. So I'm forcibly nice. I'm fake nice.
But that's, like I said, you know, it's through fear that change comes, and that's in the original book. You know, it is a very, you know, obviously Dickensian story, Victorian London, of that, you know, fear imposes change on people, you know.
And
it was so a little bit sad.
Go on. So nice that he died.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. Like, the day he changes, he doesn't even get to finish his own party, and he's just like, I'm going to sleep now forever. Oh, by the way, you can have my stuff. Bye.
Yeah. I'm just thinking either way then, really, he would have died, because, you know, he kind of, oh no, I suppose he gets like eternal rest, doesn't he, rather than come back from the dead like that. Yeah.
The thing is too, about whenever they were, I can't remember what dream it was, but for some reason they were in his house and they were throwing his belongings to the zombies, and that was like fending them off. Like, I think at one point they threw a rug out.
Yeah,
and what
that confused me, mate.
Are they eating the rug? And that's, I don't understand what they were trying to do by saying, we'll just throw all our stuff out. Hopefully the zombies won't come to us.
I'm so glad you pointed out, because when I read that part, I was all like, what? Why are they chucking rugs at zombies? Like, I don't get it.
That was Ebenezer's stuff after his death, wasn't it? What they were taking, they'd cleared his house out and were taking all of his stuff. Yeah, and so I assume that I thought it was because it was Ebenezer's stuff, and since the zombies were created by Ebenezer, then the scent, or just the fact that they once belonged to him,
just lick all his DNA off the rug.
Yeah,
but didn't he heal the zombies? I'm so confused. What has happened in this story?
Yeah,
I think this would have been really great if they had took the zombies out and just done an actual comic version of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I agree.
You've beat me to the punch there. I was just going to ask the question. I was going to say, do we feel the zombies brought anything to this, or would we have
No.
just wanted to have seen a comic book? You know, you answered
Yeah.
that question. Scott,
Yeah,
how about
we-
you? I don't think I heard you.
I feel like the zombies were just shoehorned in. They were like, oh right, we want to do Christmas Carol, but how can we make it readable, without just copying, pasting the whole story? Someone went, zombies, mate, and he goes, yeah, all right, I'll do that. And then
he went,
And
how
then-
should I incorporate them? And the other guy
You know-
went, no, don't incorporate them. Just put them in the background. It's fine.
Do you know what?
make
The
it
way you
patient
just
zero.
said that, then that's going to be my answer for everything now during the Christmas period. Like at work, I'm going to be in
Zombies.
meetings, and they're going to be like, "How can we sort this out?" And they'll be like, "Zombies." That's what.
Yeah, it's just
The thing is,
yeah.
I haven't read any of the Marvel zombie stuff. I think it came first. I think it was 2009. Maybe I could be wrong. So they've obviously had a bit of success with zombies, but I would
Yeah.
love to know the thought process. Like we're all saying, like why did they mash them? Why did they Hulk smash them two together? You know,
Yeah.
why couldn't they just do? Why did they even do a Christmas Carol? Just do a different zombie story.
Well,
Isn't that-
you saying that about doing a different story. Comic Deal is saying here, I think there could be a market for a Marvel Christmas Carol featuring Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Doctor
Yeah,
Doom is
my-
screwed. That's what I was thinking.
My partner asked me about this because she was like, how was it? Did you like it? And she's like, was Iron Man in it? Was Thor in it? Was Captain America? I'm like, no one's in it. No Marvel character is in it.
No.
It's just Scrooge and some zombies
Yeah.
and a really ill
Yeah.
horse.
Well, so I mean, it's a possibility of what Greyman's saying here. He says probably maybe the other way around. They wanted to do another zombie story, and they thought, how can they get more money out of zombies? Yeah, Christmas
But they
Carol.
could have incorporated them. They could maybe even at the very least have changed the ghosts so it was a zombie that was coming to take Scrooge through his journey. One of his old friends, one of his current friends, and then a zombie version of him. They
Yeah.
could have incorporated it a bit more. It was very disjointed.
Lazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the writing is what let this down to me massively. If I'm going to be real blunt about it, like the artwork, I can't fault the artwork. I think if you don't like the cartoon style of comic books, you won't like this. But if you are, surely this has got to be some of the better artwork out there. Because there was no flaw with it. If you kind of like that Disney style and that cartoon style, this was flawless as far as I could see. But the writing, woof, I think it's just that it's kind of like Scott said, it is almost like they kind of went, okay, zombies. And then they kind of went, well, how do we put them together? And it almost like it couldn't make up its mind what it wanted those zombies to be. Were they supposed to be a reflection of the poor? Was that the moral of the story? Were they supposed to be a reflection of, like Shane said, Scrooge's bitterness against man? Like, it's like they couldn't make up their mind what they were supposed to represent. Like, I couldn't work it out again. But I mean, I'm not the smartest tool in the box, but I struggled.
Sharpest.
Exactly.
Smartest tool in the box.
The thing is, strangely, I think they could have fleshed it out more.
Not
And
pun intended.
yeah, they could have done more and maybe expanded the issues. But if it was going to maintain the way it was written, I wouldn't want to read it. I just think there's more they could have put in, except the zombies and so on. But as it stands, I wouldn't want to read more of this story, to be honest. But they could have easily expanded it if it was a better writer, I suppose. Like Jim McCann, I don't know who that is. Don't know what he's written since. So maybe he's no longer doing this. Maybe Zombie Christmas Carol has ruined him.
No, I have no idea either. If only I was organised enough to do research, this would be brilliant.
Yeah.
This would be an amazing show, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think if they had cut back on the Christmas Carol stuff, because you could still tell that story, you could tell it a lot quicker than one spirit and issue. You could have told that all in one go. You could have had all that at the start, maybe in the first 2 issues, and then after that, then you can have a zombie storyline where Scrooge is figuring out that he's the cause of it, and then he's got to fix it. How does he fix it? And he doesn't just walk them to a cemetery. There's actually step by step, and he saves some people, he kills some zombies, make it a bit more exciting, a bit more.
They've definitely missed the trick, because I think they've tried to be too safe and too respectful for the story. Where really, whenever you're mashing zombies and the Christmas Carol together, it needs to be balls to the wall. You know, it needs to be. It can't be like a safe story. You're just telling the story. It needs to be all guns blazing, kind of people dying. Tiny Tim, he might just sacrifice him for the story. Make it a bit more, make it better. Zombie. Just
it seems to me though that they the avenue that they went down was they thought, right, we're going to mash these zombies in here, and I think that they went, okay, like you said, Phil, they tried to keep it in with the story, and that's where they've kind of tried to mash it in with the poor and the needy, and the way that they portrayed, as I said earlier, the death hunger or the hungry death or whatever it was, kind of implied that the poor were always wanting and were needing and stuff. And I understand that was a bit wrong, really. I mean, usually it's the other way around in life. Rich, greedy people are the ones that want stuff and need stuff, I think, more. But again, let's not turn Christmas political.
But this is the thing. Like, I read the back matter, I think it was for issue 1, and the guy basically said that he was trying to maintain the legacy of A Christmas Carol. I'm just thinking, but why? You're putting zombies in it. Why are you trying to keep? Why are you trying to keep that? Even flip it by doing the rich and the poor. Like, the rich ones are the ones who are the zombies and they're struggling. You know what I mean? Like, just flip the story. Do like a different side story, even from a different perspective. It doesn't have to be Scrooge every time. It doesn't have to be the Christmas Carol. I
think they should have done something differently. I think rather than try to fit it into the actual story, should have deviated off somewhere. I think,
and it's a shame because the book, I think, does well in some areas. Like we mentioned the art, I've mentioned the small things, like the details. Even like with the art, they've kept everything looking so gothic and Victorian and aged and so on. Like, it just looks really great.
I will say the trade looks like a lovely book to own as well. As in, like it presents really nice. The hardback trade or whatever it is that's out there.
It'll just be let down by the story, I think, to be honest.
There was some writing in there that I really, really liked. I like the way they were describing Scrooge as even nature didn't want to touch him, like when the fog clears when he's walking. I thought that was a great way to describe him. And then you see him walking, and the fog just separates so he can walk through it because nature does. I thought that was great. A great bit of writing. But
does that mean even nature doesn't want to touch him?
Yeah, I thought that was great.
Like a lot of the best writing was at the start, and it felt like he used up all of his ideas too quick. You know what I mean? All of his good ideas too quick. Maybe all of his energy into making it a decent book. You sell issue 1, hopefully the rest will sell. And that's what he did. He put all of his energy into that, and then it just kind of trailed off.
It went totally wonky towards the end. I feel the writing did. Just saying, addressing the chat comments here. Hello to Dana and hello to Highland G as well, joining us. And Liam Cartwright, you're saying Marvel zombies needed to do what Pride and Prejudice zombies did.
Film. That was a great film.
There you go. Yeah, so I agree with you, Scott. I think towards the end, it started off real strong. Like, the guy seemed like it was confident start, and I think all the way through, even till the Ghost of Future Christmas, it was fine. I think it was just that extra 1.5 issues where it started to go a bit wrong.
It's probably because he had all the reference material to keep it good, and then when it got to the bit like, now what do I do?
Now I have to do my own work.
Yeah, now I've got to think of it myself. Oh my god! I'll just write this. Yeah, whatever. Christmas miracle.
Working's hard. I just want to copy up work.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, because where it does stray, that's exactly what we're saying, aren't we? Is that where it does stray from the reference material? That's where it does actually kind of fall down, and that should be realistically its unique selling point. That's the thing the thing that's different about it, and it lets it down.
You could take all the panels without the zombies, take them out, and put them in a kid's book for A Christmas Carol, and it would look beautiful. absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you took all the zombies and
and just had it as a standard Christmas Carol, perfect art for that.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
it would. I think I agree with you guys. I think I probably would have liked to have just seen like an illustrated adaptation with that artwork, because I think the artwork lent itself really well to kind of that Christmas vibe as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Again, you know, I keep saying Disney a lot, but I think that really did add to that kind of Christmas magic kind of feel, the artwork in this. I think if it was too grotesque, it would probably lose that Christmas vibe to it.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Like the most grotesque things in a Christmas Carol should always be the Ghost of Christmas Future.
Yeah.
And Jacob Marley. But
oh, Jacob was great in this. I did like Jacob.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
The design was cool.
Yeah, I think all of the ghosts were done really well, to be honest.
Did Jacob Marley get killed? He was turned into a zombie because they say to him at the beginning, they say to Scrooge, you don't want to face what he really is, because Scrooge keeps saying that he's dead, but they sort of mention or kind of imply that he's a zombie, but we don't see him again.
Through the wall. At the start, didn't he? He walked through the door. He like walked through it. The door was closed, and he went.
There we go. Yeah, he does. Yeah,
so
yeah.
He was turned into a zombie and then killed, because we didn't see any zombies get killed.
Yeah.
No, they couldn't die, could they? That was the point.
Not even a bullet through the head.
That's what I was thinking too. Why was there not a guy with a hatchet or something, you know, like Rick style from The Walking Dead, just going around chopping their heads off? Like, it needed something. I needed that. It needed a bit more.
Oh, like, could you imagine Tiny Tim goes all like Carl Grimes? You know,
that's how I was thinking. Just complete balls to the wall. Just let Tiny Tim go out and kill all the zombies. Just do something different.
He's got like a little shotgun hidden in his crutch. Take that.
I'll be honest with you. That's what I thought we were going to be getting with this.
That's what I thought.
Again, it's worth letting everyone know. I don't think any of us here had read this previous to this week. So, like, I know I was expecting something completely different. I thought we were going to get like lots of zombie mayhem and Scrooge and. No, it weren't that.
No, I was expecting Scrooge to have lost Jacob Marley to the zombies. You know, to be old, to be like sort of spiteful and mean because of that, because everyone he'd lost to zombies, and he was going to be like this old disheveled zombie hunter sort of thing, and it was just a Christmas Carol. I should have known. It said it on the cover, A Christmas Carol.
To be fair, I did enjoy. Yeah, I did enjoy reading it from start to finish. I just. Whenever I finished reading it, I just felt completely unsatisfied. Like nothing happened. Like really, not a thing. Like obviously, there's all the scenes with the ghosts, the past, present, future, but nothing happened. Just like
not when the zombies are concerned. I think there was no point to it. Essentially, at the end,
that was the selling point as well.
Yeah,
and there was just nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't think I've ever spoken so badly about it.
But there was no like. There was no heartfelt moment. There was no kick-ass moment. It was just the same story that we all know, but just as we said before, with zombies.
Just to have a look at Greyman's asking a question. He says Marley dies years before Scrooge gets bit by the horse, though. Surely, so Scrooge is patient zero. In this, he doesn't.
Scrooge was a teenager when he got bit by the horse.
It's kind of college age, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because he was responsible for the death of his lover and his sister and so on.
Yeah.
Again, that kind of irritated me as well. The way that kind of like he was bitten, never became a zombie, but then he kind of like infected everyone else. So I can see where you got that from, Shane, about it being his bitterness kind of spreading and affecting all the people around him. But I'm just kind of like, what? How? Right? Okay, so he's infected his sister, and then what? And then why is his sister dead? If she was a zombie, why she died and no one else can die? Like, I don't. What?
So just disjointed, mate. It's just mental.
I got confused a lot in this book. I mean, it's 5 issues, people, for those watching, and I got confused quite a bit in it. I'll be honest with you. You know.
Yeah. And the happy ending where they're having a party, and everyone seems to they've forgiven Scrooge for being a Scrooge
Yeah.
his whole life.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he just goes and dies, it was just
Yeah,
such
but
a weird.
He goes and dies while everyone's raving in his house. They're like,
Yeah.
"Do you want us to send everyone home?" He's like, "Nah, let them pie." And they're all like dancing away, and he's dead upstairs.
Yeah.
Man.
I just thought that was such a weird ending. If you're going to have a happy ending at the end of the Christmas Carol, at least have him have Christmas dinner with the Cratchits, and then that's it. Finish on a nice note. But the fact that he died and everyone celebrated him because for one day of his whole miserable life he gave them money. That's not a great way to end the book, is it?
Scott, before you just say what you're going to say, Scott, I think Greyman's nailed it right here. It sounds like it fell over its own logic and changed its own rules. I think that's exactly what happened towards the end there. Well done, Greyman. Spot on. Yep. Articulated well there, buddy.
Yeah, the whole thing with him, being nice on the last day and then him being remembered on his grave as like this super cool guy who did the town a proper nice thing, and that's not how it works.
It's literally like if I walked into your house, threw a load of things on the floor, and then picked those things up and tidied up, and you went, "Oh, you're really great for tidying." Yeah, I make a mess, and then I clear the mess up, and then I'm praised for it. It's like, no, that's not how the world works. Stop it.
Seal. So, I mean, again, not having read the original, but just going by the Muppets and Bill Murray.
To be honest, I'm in the same boat as Phil.
I like the comparison there. He's like, who needs Dickens, man, when you got Bill Murray and Muppets?
That's it's the second greatest Christmas movie after Die Hard, of course, is Scrooge.
I agree, mate. Scrooge is a great movie.
Does Tiny Tim and the Cratchit family, I know they got the house and stuff, but it's one of the big things, not like they bought him a turkey for Christmas Day dinner. Something a big thing, but that didn't happen here, did it?
Yeah, there was no there, boy. What day is it? Sir. Why it's Christmas Day, innit?
They're going to include certain things from the original story. It's that what you're saying, like the kind of more iconic at his bedroom window and stuff, and throw him a sixpence or whatever the currency is. Yeah.
Again, that's a pretty big moment in that story, and that
even if he went, "You there, boy? What day is it? Well, it's Christmas, isn't it? The gun shop. There's a big shotgun in the window. Go buy it for me. I've got some zombies to kill." Just something.
That would have been way cooler. I'll be honest with you. I'm down for that. That's how it should have gone down.
I just think that they missed the beat. They could have done a lot more with this, because I think it could be a good book, interesting book. It's let down. It's let itself down, I think.
Yeah. I had high hopes going into this.
Yeah, I think Greyman nailed it there, where he said it sounds like it fell over its own logic and changed its own rules at the end, and I think that's spot on. When it comes to those zombies, that's exactly what happened, and like we've all agreed here, like that should have been the thing that sold these 5 issues, and it wasn't. It was the thing that let it down. And if that's going to be the case, then just do a standard Christmas Carol story. Like, don't put it in. You know what I mean? So we've got Highland G here saying a tuppence to get a double barrel shotgun.
That would be more interesting.
Yeah, totally agree. Right, the glasses are going on, folks.
Here we go.
It's that time. It's time to do final thoughts and scores. Let's start with. Let's go the other way around this time. Scott, what's your final thoughts and your scores, please, sir?
I'm not sure there's any more I can say, to be honest. It's different. Right. I can't fault the art. The art is fantastic, and I think we can all agree. This whole thing just falls on the writing, its execution, the ideas. It just copied Dickens to the point where it couldn't copy it anymore, and then had to, oh right, I need to remember to talk about the zombies now. How do they get fixed? And then it just goes, and it was crap. I was just so like, I was bored. I was like, I've not been a big fan of the Dickens story anyway, but like,
are you not a Dickens fan?
No. No. I'm sorry to the writer I'm sorry to Jim, but it's just like you just needed to think a bit more. Like you needed to put some other ideas in there. Like I think the four of us could have rewritten that book in a way that a lot of other people would have received it better. Yeah, I mean, you know, the fact that they just made Scrooge patient zero for this weird disease that was controlled by his personality, it just bewilders me, and I just don't understand.
Even you describe it, it just sounds terrible. It just sounds like something I don't want to read.
But I'm not.
Someone took it to a Marvel pitch meeting and got approved.
Oh, I don't know. Like, there's not much more I could say.
What's your score then, buddy?
My score. I know my friend Lee is watching this. He's gonna be shocked. I'm gonna give it, like 4.5.
Oh, it's a 4.5. Shane, over to you. I will say, if people have read it in the chat, put down your score in the chat, and we'll take an average of what you guys score it as well. Shane?
Zombies should be great. I love zombies in everything. Put them in whatever you want. I'll buy it, I'll read it, and 9 times out of 10 I'll enjoy it. Put them in A Christmas Carol correctly, I would have loved it. This should have been so easy. Scrooge vs. Zombies. It writes itself. It's done. This was not that. This was A Christmas Carol with some zombies in the background. Again, art's perfect, so I'm not scoring it on the story because the story was dreadful. The writing didn't help in that old style. Yeah, it was clearly someone modern writing it, so it was hard to read. I do appreciate the work that went into it, I'm not going to lie, but it was really, really hard to read. My score is for the art pretty much alone because nothing else mattered, nothing else was good.
You've got to score the whole thing as a whole comic book. You can't ignore the bad and just score the good. You've got to take
I am scoring it as a whole, because if I was going to give it a score just on the art, it would get, you know, really high. But I'm obviously taking points away for bad writing, bad editing, bad story, bad ending, really bad ending. So I'm gonna. This one for me, it's got to be a 3. I can't, in good conscience, give this anything else. If I gave this more than a 3, I would just be lying to myself because I love Christmas, but I can't do it.
Okay, so we got a 3 from you. We've got a 0 from Perpetual Comics here, and Bethany comes in with a 3 out of 10 as well for Zombies Christmas Carol.
Still too bloody generous.
Phil, final thoughts and scores, please, sir.
I'm just trying to work out when I need to score it to keep it up.
Stop it! Stop.
Wacky Wasteland is better than this, okay?
Yes. 100%.
This is the thing. Like the ending was pretty terrible. Like the only ending of a show or a series, whatever, that was better was Game of Thrones, and that was woeful. So it's hard to. The art was great, as I'll all say it. I like the concept that put it all together. Like I said, I mentioned little fine details and so on. They've actually seemed to put more effort into like the back matter in each issue rather than the story itself. So I'm not going to say nothing different than the other two have said so far. I was bored. I was let down. It should have been more. It should have been spectacular and funny. And there was no funny moments. There was no drama. There was no death. There was no heartfelt moments. It was just bland. So, to be honest, I'm going to score it quite low, and it's going to be a 3. But it should have been more, but it's just not. It let itself down, and it let me down. I wasted my time reading it.
Imagine this artist on Wacky Raceland.
Oh yeah. For me, for my final thoughts and scores, I think again I'll just summarize what I said. I don't have anything else to add. I think this did really well as its own interpretation of A Christmas Carol. Those moments where we were just following that a reproduction of that story, it was brilliant. The parts where the zombies were around was dreadful, and it dropped the ball completely, and that should have been the thing that made this different. And it was different, all right. And I've just got like, I'm sorry, Jim McGann, but Jim Henson did it better, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you can't do an adaptation like this. It didn't know what it wanted to be towards the end. It was just confusing, and it lost me several times. There were moments where I was like, what? You know, I felt let down by it. It wasn't kind of initially what I went into. I thought we were going to get, like everybody else has said here, I thought we were going to get Tiny Tim with, like, you know, a shotgun and all of that, and it wasn't. It was something completely different. The artwork, though, was gorgeous. The artwork was glorious. I think possibly some of the best artwork, at least modern artwork on modern comic books that we've probably looked at during doing these episodes. It was absolutely beautiful. So, you know, that's a big well done to the David Baldion and Jeremy Treese. Why I even try and put myself through to say it again? Like, but so for me, I'm gonna go 3.5, and it would have got a lower if it wasn't for the artwork. The artwork give it the bump. Yeah.
This guy loved it over it, didn't he?
It seems like I was the biggest fan of the art. Like, yeah.
Okay, well, that gives it an average. Just looking in the chat here as well, of what people are saying here. Let me just go through. We've got Liam here. He's saying, based on the one issue that he read, the art was fantastic. Story should have been unique, not just a copy and paste of zombies in the background. 2 out of 10 from Mr. Liam. Definitely the best artwork on a zombie-themed Christmas Carol retelling I've since this comic deal. Well, the chat, the comments here in the chat, they scored an average of 1.7 for this book. Unforgiving, people. We scored an average of 3.5, which that means it's time to look at the trusty Nerd Herd leaderboard and see where this fits. I think we all know where this is going. 3.5. That God. Puts us, it puts it right at the bottom in 9th place, below Wacky Races.
Who knew there were going to be 2 books worse than Secret Wars?
I did. Me.
Feels like, I told you, man. I told you.
Oh my God.
Are we? Do we think that's fair?
Yeah.
A fair score?
Yes and no. Like, it does feel like it's a shame. That's all I'm saying. It's a shame it's low. It could be higher.
Could have been awesome.
Great idea, poorly executed.
Yeah, and all the things we've read, it probably is the worst in terms of the biggest letdown so far.
I think for me, like, I want to score it higher because of that artwork. But like Shane said, you've got to take points away for all the kind of bad stuff that was in it, and the writing.
Yeah, everything starts at 10, and then you just keep.
Yeah, and the narration was not very good. The way that they'd used that or overused it, so to speak. So I just kept kind of, and again, that's about as high as I could go. Then, you know, but I do feel that art deserves more than a 3.5. If this was just art on its own, like you said, Shane, take out the zombies, just do this art style and a regular retelling of A Christmas Carol, this would have been a gorgeous, wonderful book to have, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we would agree with that. So it's a shame for me that this gets a 3.5. It should have been so much higher. It really should have.
Yep.
I'm just glad because Secret Wars is in the bottom. So.
You all sound really depressed now. You go.
To be fair, I'm really now in the mood to go watch Bill Murray's Scrooge to cheer me up, because even that's depressing, the movie. But I feel like I need another retelling of the Christmas Carol, and the best one there is Scrooged.
Well, on that note, folks, Merry Christmas. All right, folks. Do we want to tell people just quickly before we get to any of what's coming up on your channels? Do we want to tell people what we're reading next week and give them a heads up? Scott, you chose the next book, didn't you, buddy?
I did.
I'm excited for this one. Tell us what it is, man.
We are reading Batman Noel, which is like a one graphic novel kind of thing, like pulp, which is pretty much Batman's Christmas Carol. I think
with zombies.
with zombies. Yeah. I think Batman in this story is Scrooge. pretty much.
And this is by
Oh, really?
Lee Bermejo, who also did the Batman Damned. The man that bought you the Batwang did this book. You know,
You don't want to say that one, do you?
so I'm really looking forward to this. I think, is this the first kind of actual Batman book we've had? It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get in.
Yeah. I actually started reading this today.
Well, no spoilers. Save it for next week.
Yeah.
We've got Now I Have a Batarang, ho ho ho, and we've got This Month in Movie saying Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. There you go. So look, we've kicked off the season. It's not been a great start, you know. Okay, but you know,
go up.
Batman looks like it could be more impressive next week. All right. So before we wrap up then, folks, do you want to tell people what you got coming up on your own YouTube channels this week? Phil, you want to start and we'll go round?
I was hoping to do the #1 on King in Black and Batman Catwoman, but my delivery has been delayed this week. So if and when they come in, I will do a review on those 2 books. So hopefully this week, but who knows?
Okay. Shane?
I have more advent calendar days coming up this week and the entire month. So,
I've been schooled this week. I now know what an ushi is, and I'm like, how did I live not knowing what an ushi was, man? Now I know what one is. I'm like,
I want to educate people.
And you've got one a day. That's right.
One a day, every day until Christmas Eve.
Excellent. Scott, how about yourself?
Got another backstory coming up. It'll be the last one before the very last one. And it will be with Ben from Instagram. His name is Attention Seeking Geek. So I'll be
Mr.
talking
Ben
to him.
Crampton.
Yes, Mr. Ben Crampton. I'll be talking to him. And then the week after, get people hyped, I'll be doing a live where people can come on and they can ask me stuff. It'll be my backstory. So if anyone is interested, send me a message and I'll get you on the list.
Yeah, all the random people watching this, just contact Scott and come and ask him questions, man.
How intrusive can we be?
3.5 out of 10.
I'll write the link on some bathroom stalls at work for you. For a good time, follow this link.
There you go, folks. And if you want the links to all of the guys' channels here, you will find that if you go to the Nerd Herd main page, you look underneath the playlists and you will see a link to all of the guys' channels right there as well. Or, you know, do it the old-fashioned way and search for it yourself. That's easy. Right, folks. On that note, we're going to say Merry Christmas, the start of the festive season, and get your waves up.